for the link so I can push it out my
So if
Facebook.
everybody, if you choose to share this, if you go onto my Facebook page, it should be on my Facebook page. If it's not now, it should be shortly. If you would share that out, that would be awesome. But of course, no pressure to do so.
Looking at your Facebook page. Oh, it says you're live. But I don't see a link.
Let me see. Okay.
Like I can click on it because I see Megan in the.
Yeah, that's it. I see it. It says Maureen Contrera live. You can share that onto your page.
Oh,
I'll edit the text after this, but we're here. Yay! Okay,
Yay.
cool. Well, okay. So I'm gonna formally introduce everybody. Welcome to the first installment of From the Wings Live. We have conversations that with people who make theater happen here every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes more than that, sometimes less than that. And every week I'm joined by these amazing people. So today, our first live session, I wanted to do an experiment and I wanted to give everybody a chance to talk about their projects because my gosh, we are all crushing it. Can I just say? If I do say so myself, I've seen some amazing things happen in this group over the past couple of months, and I'm really I'm just so excited and so proud to be a part of your journey and to have you all be a part of our journey because yeah. All right. So we've all been working during quarantine. A lot of us have had readings. A lot of us have had online productions. We've all been moving forward. So I'm really excited to talk about that today. So without further ado, we're going to introduce ourselves. Every week we go around and everybody says who they are, what they do, and what their favorite show is. And that can mean anything. That can mean a theater production, could mean a TV show, it could be something you're binging on Netflix or a movie or whatever the case is. All right. So let's go to first LY and then Joe.
I'm first? Okay, awesome. So, so I'm LY Jones, and I am a writer, a collaborative writer, actually. I prefer to work with other people rather than doing solo work, though I do have one new solo piece. Right now, the work that we're going to talk about later that we're promoting is The Man with the Floppy Ears. And my favorite shows are about 3. So they would be The Music Man, Sweeney Todd, and A Chorus Line.
Awesome. Let's go to Joe and then Philip.
Hey there, I'm Joe Jatko. I'm a writer also. And yeah, I like a lot of people kind of have been pivoting to new forms of expression in this time. So kind of working in audio fiction at the moment. And yeah, my favorite show at the moment is this handsome devil behind me. Oh. The Man with the Floppy Ears. Really cool to, I've heard a lot about it, but it was really cool to see the reading of it. And I don't know, just like there's people who don't always get represented. I mean, it's a period piece, and there's people we don't always think of in the past because they weren't always represented. And so it was a really cool context to hear that story in, and I really appreciated it quite a bit. Thanks for that, Alway.
Thank you.
I wish the people in this group were more supportive of one another.
I know.
Just kidding. Philip, and then let's have Claire.
Hi, yes, I'm Phil Reisman. I'm yet another person involved with The Man with the Floppy Ears. LY and I wrote it over the course of several years now. My favorite show that I'm watching is My Brilliant Friend. I'm on season 2. I have 2 episodes left. And I am sad that it'll be ending, but I think it's coming back for another season. Yep, okay.
Nice, welcome. Okay, we have Claire and then we have David.
Hi, I'm Claire Wilkes. I am a producer and I'm new to producing. Although as time goes on, I maybe need to stop saying I'm new to producing because things are moving along. Anyway, I've loved being a part of this group, learning a lot from everybody. I do love the supportive atmosphere of everybody here. The current project I'm working on, I'm co-producing a show that is being made into a podcast entitled The High Captain by Joe Jatko, which is just a wildly funny play. It's just an awful lot of fun, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of it. The current thing that I'm watching right now and really loving is Unorthodox. It's just incredibly moving, and I'm just absolutely riveted, and it's one of those things that it's really hard to turn off, you know, the computer. So good to be here with you all today.
Awesome. I love that show. I can't say it enough. I love that show. So awesome. David, and then Alana.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a science-based musical writer. I've been focused on subatomic particles for the last half decade. My favorite show is The Man with the Floppy Ears. Yes, it's I love the integration of like a really early 20th century type of theater, how the theater was done into a modernized Zoom. I like the twists. And it's a great way to end June, Pride Month. So I'm looking forward to what LY will do in July. And Philip.
October.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, for forever, for the rest of eternity.
Ilana, and then Megan.
Hi, Marie. Hi, everyone. Hi. I missed everyone the last couple of weeks. I'm really sorry that I wasn't around on this call. I was thinking of you. I always feel connected, and I do feel the support is there and strong and very important. So thank you, Marie, for everything. I'll say that my favorite show is Two Anxious Bisexuals, although I haven't seen it yet. And in supporting spirit, I really want to see it. I tried to see it, but I couldn't get the link. I couldn't get connected with Kate Camerata, unfortunately. So I'm really sorry about that. I really wanted to see it. And I hope that I will get a chance to see it. And The Man with the Two Floppy Ears, same thing. So I'm delinquent, and I'm going to make up for it in whatever ways that I can. And I really do mean that, because this group is very important to me. You're all very important to me. And I stand by what I'm saying. So I really hope to see more of everyone's work. I'm personally working on Unity Theater and a book about healing racism and bringing our whole society and our whole global universe together as best I can. I can't do it by myself, so I really do need everyone's support here. And I'm hoping that I'll have that. And I know I have that, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Alana. And I just want to say, first of all, I have a recording, so you can watch it. We just kind of have to get it together and get it, to a private YouTube link. So yeah, absolutely, you can watch it. And thank you for your support. You have our support with your work as well. So thank you for that.
Bless you. Bless us.
So much love. Yay. Megan, and then Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan Zabrowski. I am 1/3 of a writing team along with Marie and our other writing partner, Diane Gebauer. Our current project is Two Anxious Bisexuals, which Marie, being our producer type person for the time being, will give us a nice pitch later. In addition to that, I edit podcasts, including this one, and I do various other odd projects and goofy things like that. As far as favorite show, I'll give you 3 things. One, like all of the projects people are working on here are just awesome. So, I've enjoyed watching everything that people come up with. So yay. Two Big Finish Productions, The Confessions of Dorian Gray, really great audio play series. And 1970s Spider-Man. It's a very strange show, and I love it.
Awesome, Pat, and then I will introduce myself.
Okay, I'm Pat Lynn. I'm a playwright. I have not been able to see Men with the Floppy Ears, which I want to. So is it? No, but that's because I came to this group a little bit late and you all know each other from other networking opportunities. When is the next time, LY, that this thing is going to be going up? And will you please send me a link so that I can watch it?
Yeah, well, currently we're waiting for a link or at least a downloadable version from the reading on this Sunday from the producer.
Okay.
But this producer has promised us a full-on virtual production for that will be released in October.
Okay,
So,
great.
So there's
I'll
more
be
coming,
there.
and then an even better version, you know, because it'll be costumed and background changes and props, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. I will look forward to that.
Thanks.
As most of you know, I have been, since the middle of March, just been devoting myself to trying to write for the Zoom platform, to add that to my bag of tricks. And finally, I'm getting some action on it. I've got a short, very short Zoom play that's going up in a festival, very small, tomorrow, which is good because that's the first time that's happened. I'm also revisiting a full-length play called, what is the name of that thing? It's too early. I'm out on the West Coast and I just woke up. Yeah, it's called The Last Cranky. That is a dystopian, fun and funny romp for 6 women that gets into all kinds of really interesting stuff, and more about that at another time. And I'm also working on an absolute new thing that takes a lot of the smaller Zoom efforts that I've done and somehow manages to integrate that into a larger vision so that I can actually have something written for Zoom that is longer than 10 minutes, because I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh yeah, we want things, but we want 55 to 60 minutes or full length. I don't know that it's sustainable on Zoom, but if that's what they want, I'll give it to them. As far as what have I seen recently, I just happened to catch the most amazing Zoom reading of Tartuffe that was done by something called Moliere in the Park, which seems to be a group out of Park Slope. Unfortunately, I believe that it's only streamed until today, New York time. But what an accessible translation they were using. And it was fun, it was funny, and who knew that Moliere was that prescient? And how important that is and how much that play speaks to today.
Nice.
Real quick,
Awesome.
I love Tartuffe so much. That is awesome.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you, Pat, and welcome. And we love what you do. And I got to see one of your Zoom readings on Socially Isolated group readings, and I loved it. So awesome.
Was that the Shakespeare one? I think it was.
It was the it was about the election, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that was my Melania Trump play.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, this is different.
I was gonna say, I remember the one about the there was like an elderly couple meeting on Zoom, or 2 single people on Zoom. I remember.
It's Happy Birthday, William Shakespeare, and that's the one that's finally getting streamed in a way that can be streamed.
Yay.
Thank you all, and thank you all of you, every one of you, for all of your support. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So I'm Marie. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also a writer. I've been a composer. I've written in the opera genre and some avant-garde jazz stuff. Now I started taking my foray into musical theater writing. I was in the BMI program earlier this year. It was the first year, and I've been one of the writers for Two Anxious Bisexuals, and we've been on quite a ride recently. It started out sort of as a joke. Our writing partner, Megan, me, and Diane Gebauer, the three of us are the writers. It started out as a joke as to how Diane and I met. Somebody introduced us saying, well, you're both bisexual, you should meet. And it kind of turned into this big joke about what would have happened if we would have gone on a blind date, and what a disaster would that have been. And then, we all three of us live together now, and Diane's one of Megan's and my, very best friends. And so the premise behind Two Anxious Bisexuals is that two girls go on a disastrous blind date. They both have anxiety, and that contributes to an absolute disaster. They never want to see each other again. And through a comedy of errors, they become roommates and eventually best friends. It is a comedy, queerness is funny, the anxiety is funny, but it is not ever a punchline. And we show queer people being their boring old selves. And, we're just like everybody else. We have the same problems. We have the same, happy moments and sad moments. And that's what the show is about. We were working on the musical. We got a little bit of interest in the TV version of this. So we put up a couple of readings of the TV show, and we got the advice that folks like it, think it's something that people want to see. And so what we're doing is we're doing a little bit more of a proof of concept. I think what we're going to go with is a 6-episode podcast series. So that's what we're working on. And like, as of yesterday, this is what we're working on. And we're really excited. It's just been quite a ride. And I can talk about that a little bit more. So cool. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. My favorite show is Tour. I will give David a shout out. I finally got to hear one of his songs from the musical Tour. And my gosh, what a cool groove. It was not what I was expecting. And at the same time, it was really a delightful and pleasant surprise. So go, David.
Yes. I heard it. Yes, David, I heard it too. And finally, every time I'm exposed to your piece, because this is the third or fourth time that I've been exposed to it, I have a better understanding of it every time. And I loved how that song sounds. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
It's a beautiful music, David.
I concur. And the show is just a very unusual and neat show. So it's very cool.
Quantum mechanics is so hard, and I'm so grateful that you guys are taking this journey with me to try to understand it.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I mean, I really thought it was great. And of course, I have my opinions about where this needs to grow up. I have my opinions about, like, the right director needs to have their hands on this. So and you're no stranger to hearing my opinions about it. So so I want to say, as we kick this off and really get into what we've all been up to, this group has been, we've been meeting for, gosh, I guess almost 4 months now, right? Because we started once we all went into lockdown, and we've had a lot of, like, I learned about socially isolated script readings from LY. I learned about the Musical Theater Factory Fan Fridays from David. I feel like we've all really shared a lot here, and we've all really made some amazing stuff happen. So I want to celebrate that, and I want to hear what you guys are comfortable talking about in terms of, what your readings have been like, what's worked for you, what's not worked for you. The other person that I forgot to call out is Kate Camerata of Create Theater. She created a Monday night Zoom readings, and she came to our very first call. And she's just been, she's been supportive to so many of us in so many ways. I know I got on the phone with her shortly after she came on, and I was like, can I put on my musical? And she was like, sure. And then I was like, haha, just kidding. Can I put on my TV show? And she was like, well, all right, why not? So she's just been really supportive. I know, Joe, you've had a reading with her. I don't know if anybody else has, but yeah, let's talk. I want to hear what you guys are up to. Who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, yeah, going on from Kate, Kate's, after the musical theater factory and the feedback they gave, the resources they also gave, Kate offered a table reading to host a table reading in late July. At that point, I'm trying to finish the second and third act, and then after that, I think I'm gonna move on to draft 2.5. Kate's pretty helpful. She's been doing a lot of physics work. I know she did David Krukowski's Madame Curie, and she also hosted the the annual Simon's science playwriting, which usually has 3 science-based plays. So just praising Kate here. That's my contribution right now.
Nice. Who else wants to share what they've been up to?
This is Phil. About 3 years ago, I started writing with someone a TV series about the mafia based on his idea, meant to be viewed on mobile phones, because at the time he worked as a videographer and video editor for a company that made TV shows to be viewed on cell phones. And they had money from Verizon, like millions of dollars and I saw, and my friend said, it doesn't have to be great. It's just like, disposable TV. But we worked on an outline. I knew him because he directed a short film that I wrote and shot it too. We worked on an outline and I started a pilot, but then Verizon pulled the plug on that. So we said, okay, so much for that. But he called me out of the blue a few months ago and said, Phil, I was looking over and I think we really had something there and I'd like to, continue with it. So we're writing a 48-minute pilot and then coming up with little 1-paragraph synopses for, I think, about a dozen or so future episodes. And it's coming along pretty well. It's just, I'm not sure what tone to do, because his inspiration was he saw this comedy drama starring Robert De Niro as a mafioso who's married with 2 kids, and he goes into witness protection in France. So there are these Americans in France and fish out of water, kind of like Lilyhammer, which I haven't seen, but people like it. But then I started watching Ozark, and Ozark is so gritty, but really involving, but it's just such a different tone. It's so grim. And I'm thinking, watching Ozark, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, is, this is such an imitation of Breaking Bad, but different. Family man with a wife and kids, finds himself involved with the cartel. And it's funny how the jumping off seemed to me to be to imitate the success of Breaking Bad, but just that the feeling is just so much different. So I'm not sure what tone to go for. It's taking a darker turn than I originally intended. Less of a comedy, more menacing, and I don't like that. But that's where the material's leading me. But I'm only on page 8 right now. That's what I'm working on. And also Floppy Ears, we keep making small revisions after every reading. And we're looking forward to the probable October production. Oh, and LY is too modest to say this, but we had a very enticing read request. I won't say more unless LY wants to, but from a real producer after Sunday's reading.
Wait.
Okay,
We already have
our
we already have a real producer.
Oh, no. Oh no, that one. Sorry, I mean the one from London.
Right, we got an extra producer, right, interested. So that was very
Right.
exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very
Yeah.
exciting to wake up to that email Monday morning. Um, and so, and I don't see that. Hopefully that shouldn't be a conflict since it's in Europe. But yeah, so yeah, if I guess that's a good segue to Floppy, if we may. I think it's been great, as Phil was just saying, that we got to hear a film version that we tested out in Socially Isolated, and we finally got to get the regular. Well, we still did it as we're producing. Excuse me. We are developing this for Zoom in the fall. So we took an older screenplay, like our first kind of screenplay idea for it, which is really close to the play, the stage play itself. It's just that the final scene is completely different. So it's been an interesting journey, and I was just kind of saying that it's difficult in Zoom because we don't know what the audience is doing. We don't know if they're laughing along with the jokes because our producer described it as a witty play. And there were moments we certainly embedded some really brainy jokes in there. I think one of my favorites is the Cary Grant joke that Phil and I worked together on. And so I really, we really have that. The great thing about Zoom is it still lets us expose our work, all of us as writers. But at the same time, we don't know how the audience is reacting and responding unless they're actually, sending us a little message either during or after the reading. But by and large, we're not hearing laughs. We're not hearing, oh my gods. So it's a little frustrating. But other than that, I would like to ask very briefly, if I may be so rude, since David and Joe were in our audience, just a little tiny, how did it go, guys? I mean, obviously Joe's got my photo behind him, so something must have went right. Guys, anything?
Sure, I can speak to that. Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I mean, number one, it was just it was like the best technically executed Zoom reading I've been to, maybe.
Wow, thanks.
Or at least one of the better ones, because you really notice it at this point. Especially having participated in one, it's like, all the things that go wrong, what the challenges are. And so, yeah, just from the backdrops to, I don't think anybody was in costume, but they all looked very contextual somehow.
Yeah.
It was a great look, it was a great looking cast. It was a great cast overall. And like I said, I just, it was what I really appreciate about that piece is it's both, I don't know. Yeah. It's just this idea that we think of homosexuality as maybe a modern phenomenon or something like that. So to hear it in a historical context, just to reiterate that, is really powerful and just a very in a very effortless way on your guys' part to just be depicting the truth that happens, but we don't get the full picture of how people's lives, and particularly in different groups, underrepresented groups, were carried out during those times. And so yeah, I thought it's just, and then there's a human drama about it that doesn't necessarily hit you over the head with that particular element because it's so baked into just the DNA of that context that you created there.
Thank you.
I was kind of upset that you didn't tell us it was gonna be webinar based. So I would have thrown that poster at every public forum. Yeah, I was I was I'm not sure if I should post this somewhere where people will accidentally just troll it. But yeah, I was oh wow, webinar. Okay, well, good. No accidental cameras, and that gets annoying because a lot of times, yeah. I mean, it's great that it's an open discussion immediately after, and everyone can open the cameras. But yeah, it's being in the age of Zoom, and even 3 months in, people still kind of don't know how to use it, and people just pop in with the camera full on. Yeah. When I was saying like how you implemented early 20th century theater into it, yeah, you made the backdrops a brick wall, like everyone's, and that's a style I think they did a lot, right? Usually back then.
Well, what I was just trying to do was have everyone look like they're on the same kind of empty stage, because it was a reading. For the production, I have backdrops. We've already selected backdrops for every scene. So it will, instead of having someone actually saying, here's a new scene, the backdrop will change to indicate the new scene. So we'll have less narration. It'll be more film-like.
I will applaud the narration. The narrator had personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and in the upcoming production, the narrator, we actually put his dialogue, his narration right into the main dialogue. There will be no scene this or that or this or that. So that'll be a big step up. We kind of took that from a radio perspective, and I allowed Keith to give inflection, because there were moments like, for example, the first time the two main characters kiss. It's this very intimate moment, and I needed him to not just come back and out flatly say something. I needed the audience to be in that moment. So I said, get quiet, like you were part of that kiss, like you yourself, the narrator, are the kiss. That way, when they came out and they spoke very quietly, it was all, in the same emotional moment. So one of the tricks we kind of learned through Zoom. But I'm going to ask one question, and I promise I'll let go. So what did so we talked about in the play itself, we talked about the Spanish flu, we talked about the Depression, we talked about the politics of the time, which parallel what's going on now, right? And there was and I've lost the fourth thing. Oh. Anyway, the whole point was, even though it was happening, it was right, the LGBT-ness, about how the picture we were trying to paint is how there was a thriving community before, and then it all got pushed down in the 40s and 50s, and then it came back in the 60s. So how do you think that the parallels of today and then played out? Is that all clear? Did it make a bigger impact or less of an impact?
I disagreed with Joe when he said it was a period piece. I think it's a piece that can go on, for, like I said, for eternity. Although, I remember you said you really want to set it up in like a production of it in a 20th century kind of way. Well,
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a point to that. It was because I don't. When I was introducing the pieces, because LGBT voices were silenced on stage and film for 40 years, it's important that we go back and fill that, because it's not part of our collective context. We can go look at a film library for the past 80 years, and for 40 years there's no LGBT stories. So that was kind of one of the goals, is to set it in that time frame, because my goal is kind of to fill the void backwards, because we were there even though we were not seen.
I would say the most relatable imagery that is current today is I don't think it's spoilage. It's an automotive accident. Because there's a lot of that hitting protesters, and we don't, like, the news doesn't cover what happens to the protester that got hurt after, really. Let's just say. And I was bawling and crying for a character. Even though I've seen that guy so many, the person who played that character so many times, a socially isolated script reading.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Jamie Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, I know who that is.
We cast him for Arthur.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and then we had an amazing Dito, and the fellow that played Dito, his name is Darwin Del Fabro, and he is from Brazil, and he is this amazing singer. He's an even more amazing actor, because when Arthur was pronounced dead, he completely, the first time he did it in rehearsal on me, I teared up because I was not expecting his performance, and he just blew it out of the ballpark. And he's also a dancer, and he's also producing his own thing right now. He was hoping to be the first one out of the gate when they opened theaters. So he's just this crazy powerhouse.
Nice.
One thing I like about these Zoom readings is that in general, you use people you already know, or you know someone who knows someone, and people get recommended to you. So you don't have to say no to actors. I really hate that when I have cast my own one-act plays. Is, I just hate to say no to people. And we got the cast we wanted without having to say no to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, half of our cast.
I don't know if anyone's reversing any. I don't know if there are any auditions anymore.
We had auditions.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did have to turn people away. And in fact, we got, I think, the best cast we could have. And I know Megan agrees with me.
Yeah, actually, of our auditions, it was kind of it was great because we found so many good actors that some of them we literally could not turn away, and so we had to make new characters, and it really made the show much stronger because of that.
Yeah, like Sammy, who came to us because we posted in the queer group. She's actually a comedian. That's what she does.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I'm interested in the personal trainer part. I'm not really an actor. I'm a comedian. And I was like, we have to write a part for you. Like once we heard her set, I was like, that's it,
Yeah, I had seen Sammy perform a couple years ago, and then we lost contact. And then I saw her name on the audition sheet. I was just like, oh my God. And I showed Marie and Diane some of her old sets, and yeah, we knew that we had to have her in somewhere.
And she didn't even know that we didn't say it was a comedy about stand-up comedians. We didn't even put that into the description when we were calling people. I just said, we're looking for basically somebody with butch swagger. That was the description that I had put into the chat, into the group. And she was like, I'm interested in this part. I think I would be a good candidate. Also, I'm a comedian. And I was like, so we got to talk about this because, and, same thing with the person that we had for we have this character who's like a straight white guy. Well, for now he portrays as a straight white guy. He's kind of a jerk to one of the main characters. He was supposed to have one line at the end. He was just kind of supposed to be talked about and be like, I don't get the joke, and the person that auditioned did such a good job.
Yeah, Sean was like amazing. His timing is so good that it inspired us to really write a brand new scene for that character.
Yeah, I mean, we gave him a whole 2-season story arc aspirationally. Wow. So what I recommend is have the auditions, because right now actors are not working. And so we got, Adam, our therapist, he was in Fiddler in the Roof on Broadway, in Yiddish.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
he's great. He's also been in some HBO stuff.
He is the most charming human being too, and so wonderful to work with.
Well,
I mean, half of our cast came from Socially Isolated because we sat there and watched them for weeks, and I said, I want this one, and I got 3 out of 4.
Yeah, no, that's how we got our leads, as well as AJ, who plays Jay.
The waiter.
Yeah, and
I wanted AJ, but he was a contract. He's equity, and we were using non-contract.
Yeah. And I have to say, Socially Isolated, if you guys haven't become a part of that community, I have to give a shout out to Mike Paris, because
Mike's great.
He had not met us and he casted our show, and he nailed it. I mean, he just absolutely nailed it with the two leads. I was blown away. And then there were a couple other people that he really nailed it with.
Yeah, I mean, he in our read, he cast Arthur and his sister Olivia. I mean, they almost look like they were brother and sister. He's amazing. We actually should have him as a guest, I think, sometime.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
He's so talented.
So I was talking to Marie on Monday. She's doing our music for our podcast that we have coming up, and Marie is like my guardian angel since I've been in New York. Like I've met so many wonderful people through you, and like Claire, who's on the call, and yourself, and we were just talking about music, and at the end of it, I was just like, man, I have these two roles. They're like pretty much the two most important roles in the entire show, and we haven't cast them, and we've been casting for literally like a month, and everybody else is locked in, and it's getting awkward. And she said, AJ Lockhart. And then she said, B, just reach out to Michael Pierre Jr., who does those social isolated readings, Mike. And I just reached out to him, not knowing any better. And I just said, hey, I know you know a lot of actors. And we got to talking, and he came in and read for a part as well, just because we were talking. And he like completely killed it. So in one day we got both roles, all because of Marie. And they are, they are just gonna like take the show to an entirely different level. So I'm so thrilled.
Well, when you get your first Tony, you can thank me.
I just want to say
before God. Okay. Just kidding. I'm so glad, because I love AJ and I love Mike, you know, and I know LY feels the same, you know. Like,
oh my God! I mean,
having worked with those folks, so
and Mike's writing, like for his own projects, is just so good.
Yeah.
He has great range too. I love it.
He has great range. I kind of find him sometimes he knocks it out of the ballpark, and sometimes it goes soft. But that's just my taste. Yeah, but he's so talented. I mean, he's just, you know, his acting ability, his casting ability, his writing ability. He's amazing.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, he's, you know, for lack of a better term, he's you know, he's a straight white guy, right? But man, does he is so up on the issues. You know, he really casts a wonderful range of plays. You know, there's a lot of representation. The actors that he finds, you know, he's got it in spades in terms of representation in his casting. Yeah, really wonderful. And, you know, like I'm thinking specifically of the non-players. I hope it's okay that we're talking about his stuff, you know, but like that's a niche thing, but man, is it funny. Like I don't have to understand that world in order to enjoy that writing.
No, I love the non-players. That is such a great show, and the cast is like amazingly great. And one of our actors, Kat, is in that too, and she is hilarious.
Yeah. And she's a puppeteer. That's what she does professionally. So she like makes this little mouse on a pencil, and it dances across the screen. And
she does this great voice for it. She's fantastic.
I'm just gonna briefly praise Diana Easter. She's a great left on. So I know like we lost the reactions from like physically in the theater space, but you know, we're on this thing live, and eventually this thing will have, you know, those reactions on the lower right, I think, with all the faces and stuff. I know like some people are going into the social media phase and trying to calibrate with that. Like I think Joe is doing that with his High Captain on like Independence Day or something, I heard. Reiterate on that.
What is this, Joe? For Independence Day?
It's like 2/3 of our social media team on this call too.
Yay! Yeah, and so if I may put on my social media consultant hat, and you know, you and I were talking. I hope it's okay for us to talk about this. But I was like, why are you releasing this on July 4th? Because I know in business world, so July 4th is a dead zone. But actually, it's quite brilliant that you're going to be announcing it on social media.
Yeah, well, your advice is well taken. I mean, I think, basically it was the fact that I sat down to write the show on a 4th of July, exactly 5 years ago, and it's kind of, it's at its, this is the most success we've had with it, and it's been kind of a long time coming, and it's a very politically motivated show, and so it seemed to fit a fitting time to kind of mark that occasion. So hopefully the personal story, I don't know anything about social media, but that was just my impulse to kind of make it personal and
no, it's smart.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm the young guy and I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, my generation doesn't use Facebook really. Anyway, no one knows
But David, yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Basically never be too talented around me, because David just not only did that song he put out really kill, but he did this great visualization with it, where I think there's this whole another subcategory of audio fiction where you can he created this beautiful visualization. Basically when a character was talking, there was audio waves kind of permeating from them, and so I was like, hey, can you do something like that for us? And I was like, oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Social media, people want to be behind the scenes with you. They, so the fact that you are doing something personal is good, because people want to, they want to feel like they're part of the team that grows it with you. So that's awesome.
I had a hard time trying to humanize a lot of my subject matter, because the subject matter in my musical is particles. So this was my way of putting people's faces to these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Please, they have these human emotions more than just physics terminology lyrics. And yeah, I appreciate
it was a really good idea, actually.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought, from what I saw on Musical Theater Factory, I mean, it just made it so clear as to what was happening. These two people are these two particles are actually interacting. You start to visualize it. So it was good.
I'd like to thank Jim Kiersteed for, I guess, and a question I had was what should I do with exclusivity? And he's like, doesn't really matter. Just give free samples. No, I mean, I'm just throwing the 17th musical number out there, and no one's gonna know anything that happened up to that point. So I was like, okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah. No, that's I mean, especially now. I mean, nobody's gonna steal work, and we're all starving for content, so it's good. I'm glad you put it out there.
Also, since you've already published it, technically speaking, it's kind of hard for people to steal something when it already has a timestamp on it anyway. So,
I mean, naming these characters after lepton, quark, boson was a brilliant idea. Thankfully, that's happened because I relate to particles in a different way. So, yeah, the next stepping stone was just putting humans to their faces. So it's great.
Yeah, it's kind of like a anti-capitalist time we're very briefly living in, or maybe it's the moment's already passed, but I think it's been a weird
politics. I don't know
time
anything.
with all the bad that's happened, but it's still been a time, one silver lining is I think creators just started creating just in this really pure way, because we all kind of needed to interact with each other in some way, because we couldn't do that otherwise. So people just started creating, and I think a lot creatively has kind of come out of a really short period of time with no other motivation than to do it, because there's no real way to profit off of it anyway, but we still have that need to put it out there,
Yeah.
Anyone been learning how to monetize their stuff?
I'm trying.
We are looking for sponsors right now. So if anyone wants to give us some money, please.
Yeah, ironically being capitalist about this.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's part of the thing is, you do art because you love it, but you also need to eat. You need to buy groceries.
Yeah.
And so an artist asking for money, I mean, come on. If someone paints your walls, they ask for money. So we're giving people entertainment. We should, it's okay to, get paid for it as long as you're not doing it like in the cynical corporate, like the cynical, I'm just making this just to make money. Like
That's what you have producers for.
I mean, I will say I'm a business person first and foremost. I mean, I was an artist before I was a business person, but I part of the reason we were able to make Two Anxious Bisexuals right now is because I have a business, right? So I pay my freelancers, I pay my artists, and that's always been my MO. That's always been my philosophy, and I think it's important, and at the same time, I love the equity that's happened right now, even Joe, like the anti-capitalist thing, and also the location. I mean, Diana Easter lives in Tulsa. I work, you and I both work with her, David. I would not have worked with her had this not happened, and I do not want anybody else in that role.
I appreciate like being able to have a New Orleans based, Louisiana based singer for Boson, and I'm appreciative to have two Oklahomans for Cork and Lepton, and a New Yorker for Adam. And it's I appreciate that while like being able to live in the comforts of Michigan and not have to try to survive in New York and find the actors that I need who like back then they're like, I guess they're more likely to have their roles filled, I guess. Like they're able to find more jobs, but in this circumstance, I'm able to reach out across the United States. It's like something, I unfortunately like a beauty out of this that you can find.
Actually, no, you're right. We've been very lucky with Two Anxious Bisexuals. We're like, we've gotten cast actors from all over the place. I mean, we found one lovely actor, Naomi Jakita, and they're from Canada, and so like we are just that has definitely been and kind of a benefit of this whole craziness is just being able to find people that you would not find otherwise.
Yes. I think Anne is from Michigan, if I remember correctly, also. Anne Kreitman and Rachel Beck.
Yeah.
Who David,
And Rachel Beck is hilarious. And Anne, we are so lucky with our cast.
I mean, I think we in different respects we all are. Like, man, we've all done so much in the past couple months. It's been really wonderful.
One question I want to bounce off of Joe, since you're going the podcast route too. So we're going to be converting a 2A Beef to a podcast for the time being. And I'm kind of inspired by Big Finish Productions. They do like the Doctor Who audio plays. And one of their big things is doing sound design. And using sound design so that you don't have to rely on narration as much to, kind of develop the scene in the, the audience's mind's eye. I was wondering if you're doing anything with sound design and, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's huge. And, I had the same kind of organic relationship. What was the outlet you just mentioned?
Oh, they're a British company called Big Finish Productions.
Yeah.
They do Doctor Who audio plays. They've been doing it since the late 90s, actually.
So
I didn't hear Doctor Who. What? Who?
Doctor Who. No.
Dr. What?
Oh, God, I walked into that one. Wah, wah, wah.
I used to call him Dr. No as a kid whenever that show came on, and my dad would say, "Oh, that's James Bond." Yeah, well, I would just reach out to them because I mean, I did exactly that. There was a show that I'd never listened to a scripted podcast before, but for whatever reason, I found one that I really liked, and the sound it was like a sci-fi thing called Civilized, put out of Canada, basically by this independent network. And but I mean, it you know, for 15 minutes, you just like totally feel like you're in space and it's all because of the sound design. You know, there's nothing else that would make you believe that. And it's just such a cool bit of escapism, you know. And then so I was just thinking, I remember I was on a bike ride when I first heard it, and I almost like crashed because I was just like, I had this like epiphany. I was like, you know, my show, this would be perfect because we're like outdoors and we can have waves, and you know, it's on a desert island and chirping birds, and then everyone's huffing gas so they can like, you know, and it was just a whole new element to the show. So I think you can't invest enough in sound design. So yes, I guess that's my answer. I'm not like the expert, like they are totally taking the lead on that, but yeah, there's at least 2 people whose job it's going to be to do sound design, if not more. So it's very, very high priority. Because people, I mean, you know, just people won't listen to it, you know, if it sounds like people won't even watch movies if they sound crappy. So they're obviously not going to listen to something that sounds crappy. So
I just want to say how great it is, everything that everyone's been doing. I know I haven't really spoken yet on this call, but it's just
sorry,
been
Alana.
Wonderful. No, thank you. I just thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to say that it's I'm really inspired by the work that everyone is doing here, and I feel like a newbie. It's really been like a very special road that I feel we're on together. To see everyone producing their work is really an inspiration to me, and I do feel with Unity Theater some level of fear and trepidation about getting things really moving. For me, this has been a project really I think I call it an endeavor more than a project. It's my life work, and it's been in the works for a long time. And I feel scared to take that first step forward and really make it happen. And seeing all of you really make things happen is really amazing. And I want to invite all of you to really sort of help me take that first step forward and to be part of what I think can be really wonderful. And a lot of things that you all have said in this call have been really have touched on a lot, you know, like that I'm thinking about for Unity Theater in terms of well, I'm sorry, I'm feeling that fear interpretation, but that Unity Theater is something that is for our hearts. Oh, thank you, David. I see your comment in the chat about taking years. Thank you. It's taking a long time, and I feel that the time is ripe for Unity Theater, and also because of COVID. I think that the world is changing, and I think that Unity Theater can be the platform that allows people to really dialogue and talk to one another about who we are as people, who we are as human beings in all of our glorious diversity and in unity, to find that spark inside each of us, that to ignite that source inside all of us. And I've been playing around with a lot of ideas about, since I did the Commercial Theater Institute with Tom Vertel, I've been wondering if it should be something that's more I could definitely, I would love for it, God willing, to become a Broadway production at some point, and a tour. I'm thinking about how much of it can be improvised because it's interactive, and how much of it should be not improvised. That's one of the sort of sticking points for me. I wonder if anyone could speak to that aspect of putting on a show that involves the audience so much, where no two shows are exactly alike because of audience involvement. I really want to engage people, as it's something that Augusto Boal talked about. He was an amazing Brazilian man who taught theater of the oppressed, and he talked about people being spect actors rather than spectators.
You might look into Freestyle Love Supreme, because
yes.
I went to 2 of their shows, and I brought Megan to one. I thought it was a little variable in terms of, like, so, you know, one performance seemed to be really tight, the other one was a little wonky, so there's naturally, like, some variability in how the show goes, right? But you might look into some of their practices, because they have a formula, and then that's just one idea.
That's good, because I want to have a formula, and I want it to be streamlined, and yet I want room. I have right now a structure for it. There is a structure for it, and I want input from everyone, people of different cultural groups, people of different groups, to have input into how this is even created. So I think that is part and parcel of why I have sort of lagged behind and not been able to move forward. I have been working on a book, which is about making an apology to Black people and all people of color for racism. And I consider myself not really a white person, but a person considered white, because I see myself as, I don't know how much, we talk about identity a lot in general. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but I see myself as a person considered white. And I like to put that wedge in, that I don't just accept myself as having a white identity, even though people may see me as white. People may consider me to be a white person, and so I call myself a person considered white, because that's something, an identity that has been forced upon me by the culture, but it's not one that I want to assume myself. I'd rather join humanity. And so I feel like I can only do so much with my one identity, and I really want to involve so many people, everybody, in this process of developing this performance from the ground up. And I would like to be able to ask, with Marie's permission, because Marie is the convener of this call, to be able to ask everyone's permission. Can I send you my proposal for Unity Theater? And then if you'd like to be involved, I'm going to plan a Zoom call to talk about it with whoever wants to sort of get this, be that team, get this going from the ground up. I do have a script, which is the structure for Unity Theater. It's kind of an edutainment experience. It's educational and it's entertainment, both. And it involves music and artwork that I've developed over 25 years to heal racism and to bridge diversity issues, and to have dialogue about what is really important to us as human beings. Stuff that we're not really, thank you, Palin. Yeah, stuff that we're not really talking about a lot, but which is in our hearts, and to be able to connect with each other from the heart place is what I'm really interested in.
Ilana, use us. That's what we're here for. I think I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, And I don't, I don't want to guarantee anybody else's involvement, but I think we're here for each other.
Thank you. And I have trouble in general with the word use because it sounds like exploit.
Well, you know what I mean.
I do. And I want to thank you for that. And I would never want to exploit anyone, but certainly to have help is something that I want. And I also want to mention, because I said something earlier about, I just want to thank Kate Camerata for being the force that she is in getting things moving for a lot of us here. And I also wanted to acknowledge David Quang Pham for his production of the tour, which I didn't mention earlier. So I just wanted to say, I really want to see your show as well, David. And I want to support everyone here very, very much. So please do send me links. And I know I've talked a lot, Marie. So
no. This is. Thank you. No, thank you for your contribution. I mean, I want to say that's one of the things I'm grateful to this group about. I mean, I wouldn't know about Socially Isolated if it were not for LY. I wouldn't know about the. I wouldn't have gotten my reading off the ground if not for Kate. There's like so many people here, for different, different reasons that I'm grateful for, and I mean use us in the best way possible because we're here. Like we're all willing to help each other. I think in a really meaningful way, and that's so. Yes,
the word you're looking for is involve, rather than use. Involve.
You didn't say anything wrong.
my evil capitalist ways are showing. I'm saying use us, but you know what I mean.
I will say consider you white, but I mean it doesn't mean like anything really. Like going off of, I would say utilize us. So yeah, if you throw a show at me, I'm biased. I appreciate you. I will go see it, even though it's gonna be like iffy to someone else. But fortunately, I can reach out to people in my community who don't know you, and they could give their perspective after seeing some like a prototype of something that you propose. And perhaps that's when that gives an unbiased input that I can like reach back out to you and say, this is something you have to change. I had a conversation with like a comedian on this podcast like weeks ago about like using stories from another culture, writing stories from another culture, and like I will see their show, but it might hurt like my community. But I'm able to reach out to my community and tell the writer what needs to how it needs to move forward and progress.
Right. It sounds like you're talking about cultural appropriation, and that's not something that I want to do. I'm very sensitive to that.
It's okay. Just like don't apologize for writing and doing structuring Unity Theater. Like just reach out. There are other people on that call like that asked to reach out to me for this purpose as well. Besides science.
Thank you, David, for saying that.
Good stuff. Well, thank you all so much for being here and for supporting one another and supporting us.
Maria, thank you.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you for being the.
No, thank you, Maria.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
One more question: how do you do this? How do you do this? How? How do you lift all of us?
Yeah. Well,
what's
Marie,
the formula?
You're the one that put this together and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And we all got right in line and said, "This is great." And so, yes, thank you, Marie.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for helping me build this because without y'all, I would just be talking to myself for an hour every week, or talking to Megan because she doesn't have a choice.
And your cats too.
So no, but seriously, thank you all. I could not have imagined the kind of support that you all give each other and that you all give me. I mean, David was kind enough to interview the three of us last week for part of the summit, and he took our elephant in the room video and added an actual elephant to it. So if
It was
that's not
absolutely
love,
charming.
I don't
Guys,
know what
I'm like, being a recent college graduate, you know, I still have that stupid college video editing vibe.
It was hilarious. I mean, we totally weren't expecting it, and it was hilarious. I mean,
It was
I actually
charming.
want to
I
ask you
loved
for
it.
the video because I want to show it off.
By the way, guys, I did not have anxiety throughout the whole internet. Megan, please edit so well that I look so confident.
No, you did a fantastic job. Do not sell yourself short. You did a fantastic job.
So thank you.
Yeah,
no,
really
absolutely.
appreciate you.
So
All
we
right.
make him. Oh, good.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
And I will see you all next week. And for those of you still watching or watching later, Restream.io is responsible for the multi-streaming platform. So thank you to them because they're supporting us for the month. And thank you all. And please come back. Please, be a part of this conversation. Please continue on making theater because we need it. Make art. And reach out to me if you need any help. So, yes.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Take